Today, I want to give you my takeaways from Oklahoma's dramatic 34-31 win against Baylor, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I'm not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today, I want to talk about all of the things we learned from Oklahoma's win against Baylor in Waco at McLean Stadium. Huge game, massive victory for OU. But first, I want to encourage you, sign up for my newsletter. I have been, writing bangers, and I really enjoy doing it. And if you give me your Hotmail, your sbcglobal.net, your trash email account, I will enter you to win the Hertz lamp. I'm going to give this away after December 7th, so you have until December 7th to sign up for my newsletter. Just take it. Give yourself an opportunity to win the lamp. All right, now let's talk about what happened in the game. In front of a microphone and still glowing with the shine of victory, Oklahoma coach Lincoln Riley said he and his team had faith that they could mount one of the largest comebacks by any team all season. He said maybe half of his players and staff believed they could come back from a double-digit deficit in the second half to beat Kansas State on the road last month in OU's only loss this season. That was not the case in Waco on Saturday night. The win for Oklahoma was the largest comeback in program history. Before Saturday night, OU's largest come-from-behind wins were 21-point deficits against Iowa State in 1970 and Kansas State in 1981. The Sooners trailed 28-3 with 11:24 left in the second quarter in the 34-31 win, and they made more than school history in the process. According to ESPN Stats Info, OU's 21-point halftime deficit is the largest overcome to in a defeat of an FBS team that entered the game 9-0 or better since NCAA classification began in 1937. The previous record was 17 points by USC against 9-0 Notre Dame in 1964 and Nevada against 10-0 Boise State in 2010. The Sooners have won 19 straight in the month of November and 40 of its last 43 against Big 12 opponents. Add to this, Matt Rhule was 38-0 as a head coach when his teams were tied or led at the start of the fourth quarter, and you can begin to understand how special the night was for Oklahoma. And it started with the defense, a defense that looked out of sync, off kilter, and was getting flat out embarrassed by a Baylor team that enforced its will on the Sooners. But defensive coordinator Alex Grinch's men fought. The Sooners managed to hold Baylor to just 307 yards of offense while creating multiple turnovers. Oklahoma had recorded just one sack since recording 9 against the Texas Longhorns last month. Against Baylor, the OU defense put quarterback Charlie Brewer on the ground 3 times. Brewer finished the game completing 18 of 29 passes for 194 yards and threw just his 5th interception of the season. The Sooners accounted for just 6 turnovers in 9 games heading into Waco, Texas. By the end of the game, OU had earned 3 takeaways, including the team's 5th interception by linebacker Nick Benito to seal the win. He had an opportunity to get one to play before. He got it on the second opportunity. Good for Nick. After giving up 31 points and 140 yards passing in the first half, the Sooners allowed 0 points and just 54 yards passing in the second half. Prior to the start of the second half at McLean Stadium, Oklahoma had allowed 58 points dating back to the start of the third quarter against Iowa State in the Sooners' 42-41 thriller at home. This game was the clearest indication that Jalen Hurts is not only OU's quarterback, but Riley's preferred rusher. In addition to completing 30 of 42 passes for 297 yards with 4 touchdowns, he carried the ball 27 times for 114 yards. He also put the ball on the floor twice and threw an interception. He said of that, "I put us in a horrible situation and we found a way to come back. I loved it." Well said. Crucially though, the Sooners converted 12 of 18 third down opportunities and were perfect on 4th down, 1 for 1. The Sooners had more opportunities and more time to score points than Baylor, though. Oklahoma ran 95 plays to Baylor's 52 and held the ball for 41 minutes, 11 seconds in front of the largest crowd in Baylor history. In yet another game without starting tight end Grant Calcaterra and star receiver CeeDee Lamb out for a medical issue, tight end Lee Morris led all receivers with 7 catches for 86 yards, while true freshman tight end Austin Stogner recorded 2 touchdown grabs, his only 2 catches of the night. But this game was a mess for OU for most of the night. There were 6 fumbles in this game through the first 3 quarters, and 5 of them belonged to OU. And Baylor was looking like Carol Danvers after she ripped the governor off her neck in the Supreme Intelligence, dominatrix-like bedchamber. However, with 5:59 left to play, Oklahoma tied the game at 31 up when Hurts found fullback Braden Willis on a 2-yard touchdown pass at the back of the end zone. Oklahoma's defense stood tall on the next possession, forcing a 3-and-out from a Baylor offense that looked nearly unstoppable through the first 2 quarters of play. Hurts drove the offense from the OU 27-yard line to the Baylor 14-yard line to set up a 31-yard field goal attempt and make by kicker Gabe Burkich, who was money, to give OU its first lead of the game since going up 3-0 at the 10-12 mark in the first quarter. On the next series, OU linebacker Nick Bonito picked off Charlie Brewer's pass to seal the 34-31 win. And as I said, it's just the 5th he's thrown all year. And I need to add to this, the true freshman wideouts in particular played outstanding football. Theo Weiss was able to make something happen where we didn't see much was going to happen. Jaden Hazelwood had a huge 16-yard game. We saw Austin Stogner and what he was able to do. This was not the game in which you wanted to go in there without CeeDee Lamb, but knowing that A.D. Miller was able to get you 3 catches, and that Charleston Rambo was able to get you 5 for 50, and that Lee Morris was able to just keep helping you convert these third downs. You get 95 out of Kennedy Brooks. You get 5.2 yards per carry out of Kennedy Brooks. You got almost as many carries from everybody else as Jalen Hurts, but that Lincoln Riley was able to figure out Baylor's defense, that he was able to scheme against it in the second half, and that, more to the point, Alex Grinch was able to scheme against Charlie Brewer and what he was able to do in the quarterback run game, and that he could actually try to channel what Kenneth Murray Jr., Deshaun White, and the secondary were doing into positive plays. Parnell Motley with a huge forced fumble, had 5 tackles. I know he didn't have a great game, but neither did Delarian Turner-Yell or particularly Pat Fields until Pat Fields recovers this fumble to give Oklahoma another opportunity. They took advantage of what Baylor gave them, which is exactly what you asked this defense to do. It is far and away better than what it was at this time last year. I understand that folks want Alex Grinch to get his guys in there, to get more dudes in there, but you cannot tell me that this team does not have heart in this game in this way. I thought that there was a time when this team might have folded, quite honestly. They didn't do any of that. They took their opportunities, even when Jalen Hurts fumbles the ball as he's heading into the end zone. And they have every opportunity to say, this just isn't the card for us. It's not going to work for us. They continue to fight. They could give themselves opportunities, and that's what you're asking for. As for Baylor, this is still outstanding season. And you still have an opportunity to get back in the Big 12 championship and win a Big 12 title. So please don't let this one hurt you. And as much as OU fans are going to be excited about this one, Baylor fans, I mean, seriously, this was outstanding. After the 66-33 drubbing you got at Oklahoma last year, and the Matt Rhule era starting out at 1-11, knowing what you're able to do last year, knowing what you've done this year with more wins this year than you had in the first 2 years under Matt Rhule combined. I understand that there was a lot to get going about all of this, but Brewer was the right guy to be a quarterback. Bravion Roy was an absolute monster against Creed Humphrey and doing everything. James Lynch saw what kind of a player he was. Blake Lynch just flying around making plays. Denzel Mims out there making plays. I was excited for both teams at different fronts. I was also firmly into my fandom on the Twitters because it just wasn't going well. Not for anybody that rooted for OU, but Oklahoma is still very much in the college football playoff conversation. There's a long way to go before they get really an invite to this national invitational. But right now, they're taking care of the things they can take care of, and usually these things work themselves out. Ohio State's going to have Penn State. We'll see if Penn State can even give them any sort of trouble. We'll see what Georgia is able to do when it gets to the SEC championship game, as they clinched earlier with a win against Auburn. Alabama with Mac Jones at quarterback as it gets ready for Auburn. There's a lot to play for here. Michigan still has to play Ohio State. But for Oklahoma, these are the kind of games that you'll look at, like the Iowa State game, saying we had no business winning that game. We had no business winning the other game. But maybe that means destiny is giving Oklahoma an opportunity to do what it hasn't done since the college football playoff has been formed and since OU has been invited to play in it, win a semifinal game, and perhaps even win a national championship. Dare I say it. All right, that is it for me. Deuces.